Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. My name's Dennis. If you watched last week's video, you'll have seen that I did prepping your motherboard. I did an installation of the 5600X. Basically everything is involved with getting your motherboard ready to put in the case. So this week, that's what we're going to do. We're going to put it in the case. I'll show you how this particular case, which is the 220T RGB from Corsair. It's a mid-tower gaming case. I'm going to show you how everything goes in it and what to expect. I'll show you how to hook up all the cables, all that kind of good stuff. And then, of course, what it looks like once it's all done. So here we go. Okay, so here's the motherboard. Everything is all up and running. I've installed the operating system onto it. So now basically what we're going to do is we're going to take the graphics card out. The other thing I put in it is a Wi-Fi adapter so that we had internet to download all the software, updates, all that kind of good stuff. So I went ahead and did all that, of course, to make sure that's also part of the prepping of the motherboard. And I'm going to have to buy, I haven't got it yet, for the CPU cooler. There's a lot of air coming through that for the GAMX 400, much more than I realized that there was. And the temperatures, I put it under 8-64 extreme stability test, and just I was really surprised. At the maxed out 100% utilization, it only went to 56 degrees. So obviously it's working pretty good. So obviously I had some problems in the last video. Forgot to take off the sticker, how to take it off, reapply it, how to explain the reason for why I put it this way instead of turning it the other way. Just simply because if you need to take it off, that little tab there will make it a lot easier to take off. So I'm going to take the graphics card off, take the adapter off, because I'll put all that back in once I get it in there and put it in the case. Okay, so we got everything taken off the test bench. Motherboard's here ready to be put in. We got a graphics card. The adapter is removed. So all of these little things will go back onto the motherboard after we finally put it into the case, which is our Corsair 220T RGB mid-tower gaming case. It's got a hub and everything built into it. If you want to know more about that, I did a review on that, so you can look back for that. So normally you could stand it up and put the motherboard in. I could do that, but I prefer to lay it down, put the motherboard into all the different standoffs. That's a very simple process. I've shown it several times. So in actual fact, I decided I would put it in. There's a thing that helps when you're putting motherboards in a Corsair case. Most Corsair cases, the standoff for the center is you don't have to screw anything into it. It's just there to help you fit the motherboard in, place it in, and then all you have to do is put a couple screws in to make sure it doesn't, and then put all the rest of your screws in to the standoffs, and then go from there. Now, one thing I want to do as well, and this is going to be the big tricky thing, is the power supply's got to go in. Now, if I leave the hard drive cage in here, not sure if my power supply I have is going to fit. So I may need to go out and get a small form factor power supply put in there. But we're going to find out here in a couple minutes. So I'm going to finish putting in the motherboard, and then that's what we're going to tackle next and see what size will fit in there. I've got a pretty hefty sized one, so I hope it will fit. And then we'll go from there. So with our motherboard completely installed, all the screws where the standoffs are, everything's done for that aspect of it. And that's actually, like, because we prepped our motherboard, everything's pretty straightforward. We know everything's going to work. We've already got our M.2 in there. So power supply is going to go in. Before we were using the one from our test bench. So now we're going to put a power supply in here and see if it fits. Okay, so putting the power supply in, this is a Corsair 1000i or HX 1000i. So in order to put it in, I had to remove the hard drive cage. Now, the only reason I had to do that is because this little design that they put in here was just enough to block me being able to push it in. So once I put it in, it's face down, fasten it on the back, and I have custom mod cables from Cable Mod. So because of that, this is going to allow me to take all my cables, move them over, and put my hard drive cage back in, I hope. Hopefully. We'll find out here in a minute. But because of that, everything is going to be able to move out of the way and get that back in case I want to use it in the future. So I'm going to go ahead and do that next. But at least I know that that is going to fit. It's got a little bit of room there. And we're going to see how tight it is once the hard drive cage is back in. Okay, so very tight fit. If it wasn't for having special modded cables, I'm not sure I would have been able to use this because very rigid cables would make that very difficult. So repositioned it, put the 4 screws in the bottom, and then we took the one that holds it in place here. As you can see, our cables are very tight here, but they're there. So as far as hiding cables in our power supply shroud, it's pretty much not going to happen. So routing the cables is going to be a big deal. So anyway, it's in there. It's fastened in. We're still going to be able to use our hard drive cage, although I do have SSDs, so I don't know how important it was. But if you want a bigger hard drive with more storage, that's kind of important for a lot of people. And so I wanted to do that. And of course, I don't know if you know, AMD prices have come way down. So if you want to upgrade your CPU, you're going to need, well, probably if you want to go for a bigger graphics card as well, having the bigger power supply will help you out in the long run. Not required at this point, but this was what I had. I already had the cable mounted cable, so it was a white theme, well, white and black. So I wanted to use it. So it's in there. I can still use my hard drive bays, and yeah, lots of room for storage. And now I'm just going to go ahead and do all the cables. Of course, like I say, I've gone over the cables, so if you have any questions, look back on the one before that, and I'll explain what is necessary to be explained on this one as I go along. But most of it you're not going to see in this video because it's just not necessary. I've already gone over it already. But the ones that I do need to go over, you'll see them a little bit later on. And I will divide it into chapters so you know exactly where to skip to. Okay, so clean things up a little bit. You can see how I've put some of the cables here, moved them around. So one of the things I wanted to show you is some of the cables that are left. So these are more of the critical cables. So you've got the cable from the case. Okay, so that plugs into your SATA for power. So that's all this is. Find this, line up your L's and plug it in. That's going to give you power for your hub. And you're going to need that. And then it gives you a few more connectors if you need it. So that I'm going to tuck in here, even though it's the hard drive cage. I'm going to tuck it in there just to keep it out of the way. So the only things left now, of course, is the HD audio, your 3 fans, and of course this one, which is USB, so that the information from the hub can be sent to the IQ software. When you turn it around, you can see inside, I got everything ready here. Make sure you can see it. Okay, so inside here, I've got my USB 3 ready to go. My cables for my graphics card. I plugged in the 24 pin for power and the 8 pin up on the top up here. So now I'm just going to finish putting those in, and we'll go from there again. But just to show you, this is not really rocket science. Anybody can build a computer. Okay, if you want a step-by-step on how to do this, look at some of my previous videos, and that'll give you all the information you need. All right. I even took out the little slots in the back for the graphics card to fit into when it's in there. And these are not the ones that break off. So if I misjudged it, I can always put it back in. So it's not too bad here. So I'm just going to continue, clean this up, plug everything in. Once I get everything moved to the front where it's going to plug in, I will then show you me plugging them all in so you can see exactly where they all go. And then I'll clean up the back and fire it up. Okay, so we got all our cables fed through. Now it's time to start plugging everything in. Leave these ones till last to plug in for their graphics card. So I'm going to start with, this one is just a fan. So I'm going to find a chassis fan header, which probably going to use this one right here. So line up that little tab with the tab on the bottom. Line it with the pins. I know you can't see. Yeah, I don't need to see. Okay, just like that. And I'll haul this cable back on through. Okay, that'll nice it up a little. I'll have to figure out what I'm going to do with that. In fact, I'm probably going to have to do something with this to be able to. So let's do our USB 3.0 next, simply because it's right here and pretty easy to actually do, actually. So I'm just going to move this a little bit so that I can tuck that out of the way better. Yeah, that'll work. So you got a little tab here, a little divot. There's a little divot on the right-hand side, so this side here, and you're just going to plug it in. They're not always the easiest thing to do sometimes, so you have to be very careful because you don't want to bend the pins. Because once you bend them, well, then you're pretty much pooched. Okay, once it's in there, you'll hear that little click. Most things will give you a little click. You know, if they don't give you a click, they should give you a click, right? So we'll try to feed that through a little bit again. Can't always do too much with this cable. This is one cable I find they gotta do something better. Something better. Hey, that's the theme in this one. Something better. So we have another fan here. We have another fan header here. So again, line up that tab. Okay, and plug her in. Okay. And again, and haul that cable out. Now we have our USB, I believe. Yep. So USB, look for that little blank spot, find where that's at on your case, and plug it in. It just pushes in. Just make sure you line it up properly. Okay, just like that. And again, haul this cable back, and we'll nice up the cables in the back. And now, and that's the thing, I got this motherboard so to have addressable RGB and RGB, and I'm not even going to wind up using them because of the Corsair Hub, so I don't need them. So at this point, we need to do our case cables. So these ones are the ones that matter. So you got your reset, your power, and your PLED, positive and negative. So the PLED is the ones that sometimes you'll have an HDD LED, which is just for a light to tell you when you have activity. We don't have that on this case. All we got is those cables. So positive and negative go on top left of where your front panel connectors go, and then your reset goes on the bottom, power goes on the top, and you can plug it in either way, it won't matter, it'll still function. But these ones, the PLED positive, negative, those ones do matter. So you plug those ones in right, rather, you plug those ones in wrong, and well, yeah, button on your case ain't gonna work no more. Well, it'll work, it's just not gonna work because you haven't got it plugged in right. Okay, so let's change this. Positive and negative. And it's always going to be, I'm going to pop this out just so you can see that a little better. And I'll put that back in there. So your front panel connectors are down here. On the top left of this row here is where your PLED positive and negative are going to go. So, and it is very hard to see. So don't get discouraged. Just take your time. Plug him in. Okay, that's it for that. Now we have our power. So the reset's going to go on the bottom, or the next two pins to the right of that. Okay, so that's our reset. And our power. Like I say, it doesn't matter what way you put it in. As long as you plug it into the pins, you're good. So put our graphics card in, put our adapter, and we're good to go. So when we come back, all that'll be in there. There's nothing, just putting it into the slots to hold it in. And then just let's have a look at everything once that's done. So I did forget one. So the HD audio cable just goes right here. Okay, it's kind of like the USB. Look for the blank spot and fit it in place. So I also plugged in the USB for our Wi-Fi adapter. So that's just going to go in the slot here. All right, so that's going to go right here. I had to take this this out as well. So find that little slot, punch it in, put your screw in, then I'll put my graphics card and go from there. So just wanted to show that a little bit because I didn't want you to think I missed the cable. Okay, so one last look. Cables are in. I gotta tidy this up, but that's all for later. Our adapter's in, graphics card, our PCIe cables are plugged in. Everything is all niced up now. So it's just a matter of plugging it in, putting our antennas on, and hopefully it still fires up like it did before. And we'll have a look at the front, see the RGB fans, what they look like in the case, everything all going. And I'm probably going to add another fan on here and another rear exhaust fan, but I'm trying to decide if I'm going to get another RGB or not. But that's for another time. So here we go. Let's get her all hooked up and see what happens. Okay, so as long as I haven't missed anything, this should all power up okay. I am going to hook up a keyboard though, just to make sure I have everything in there I'm going to need once it comes all back up. Okay, so here we go. Starting up good. Looks good. I'll look the inside a little bit. Now, like I say, that's a blue LED fan, so I will have to switch that up. Of course, we are booting up into Windows, and we're done. So I do want to show you that again, just a real quick look. You can see how you got the space here. Fans are all going. I'll give you another look at the front here. I want to darken things down a little bit to show you a little bit better what it looks like. So let's just give a, there we go. So I am going to change up the blue LED fan for an RGB one. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Okay, everybody, so we finished up the build. We did the prepping on the motherboard in the previous video. I'll have a link at the end of the video if you get that far. If not, then you'll have to look for it. It was last week's video, so don't worry, it's there. And it shows you all the everything you get ready first. Then, of course, I added the Wi-Fi adapter and put in a graphics card that I had. Not the best, but hey, it'll do until I get something better. Prices are coming down, which is a good sign. And you know what? It actually looks really good. It's hard to show a case sometimes, show the colors, to really impact what it looks like. But I think I did a pretty good job. So if you have any questions, let me know. Hit that like, helps me out a lot. Hit that join button if you want to support the channel. Hit that bell for notifications as videos as they come up. And leave me a comment if there's anything I forgot or you want to mention to me. And I always appreciate it that you're at least watching. And if you got this far, you're the one. Thank you very much.